Testing. Got it. Hello, I'm going to talk about John F. Kennedy's policies and foreign policy. Foreign policy is ontological dualism. That's how we study it. I'll start with a quick moral, which is that I'm in rehabilitation for alcoholism. I get cravings and I get pain in my body. And as a result, I've been to AA for 6 or 7 years. I'm living in group housing supplied by essentially the government. And I've never heard a Marine say, I got shot. That's why I got addicted to opioids or alcohol because I thought it would help with pain. I've never heard a doctor break down the effects of alcohol on the body. Um, I know you have to be 21 to drink it. Don't give coffee to kids at 6 years old, possibly four, and we'll move on. First one's domino theory, the Tower of Babylon. Keep my camera up. The Tower of Babylon falls, and uh, all the languages are chaos. And uh, that's what's going on in the US economy. Um, so when I said that the monk bought lunch with Google, Google should have known. Today I'm saying colleges have no smoking for people who are over 18, like at Emory University. So we're not saying they're going to fall. We're saying there's no institutional branding. There's huge inequality at Emory. It's the Babylon Tower, right? In terms of resourcefulness. Harvard's the most embarrassing institution in history today because um, this much they have this much institutional branding and they have no effect on the economy. Mr. Huntley, Mr. President, in respect to our difficulties in South Vietnam, could it be that our government tends to occasionally get locked into a policy or an attitude and then finds it difficult to alter or shift that policy? The president, yes, this is true. I think the case in South Vietnam we've been dealing with, which is the government is in control, has been in control for 10 years. Since June, however, the difficulties with Buddhists that produces a kind of ambivalence. It exposes us to criticism. If we were to look at a brief and wondrous history of war, right, we would say 1948, Nagasaki and Hiroshima are bombed, ending the British Kingdom of Oliver Cromwell and also World War II. From 1948 to 1968, we are in a Cold War where the US Marine is so poor they do not understand dualism because the Cold War was that Russia and the US did not fight. It was a war of ideology, poetry, and wheelchairs. And then 1968 to 1983 is the Iraq War. 1983 is the war in Lebanon. By 92, the Gulf War, Kuwait War, 2001, the war in Iraq. Most recently, then the war in Syria with Bashar and Iran, Ahmadinejad. Those are the last two leaders the U.S. knows of, in except for Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin has met with the U.S. President Donald Trump on a couple of occasions. It did not go well for him. The US president currently has Vladimir Putin's book, I and Thou, with his own notes in it, right? Russian. And um, the war in Colombia, most recently, is protected by US privacy as the Monroe Doctrine. Colombia is a free country. It was in Medellin. Peru is a free country. Um, Colombia is a free country. Argentina is a free country. Great beaches. Don't go to San Francisco because they espouse gay sex, like the KKK, right? For instance, if in sobriety, if you have a woman doctor, you don't hate women. The next word is sequestration. I'm looking at google.com. The seizure of property by a court due to the act of isolating, separating, or seizing something. There are 5 Green Berets that survived. The program is over. It's like Jason Bourne. It's a mercenary. It's a soldier of fortune. There are 0 Navy SEALs. They all turned due to corruption, temptation. Um, in economic sequestration is when you lower spending in something. Across the board spending cuts in government budgets, which are going up, which are typically triggered when lawmakers fail to meet deficit reduction targets. Thank you to Mitch McConnell, Amy Klockbar. Again, if you were to look at domino theory, if you look at Google, then you look at LA, then you look at San Francisco, then you look at New York City. Currently, it's rural America, and the Marines there. As far as women's suffrage, it's gone up, um, and that would be called orchestration. Orchestration. Lastly, detente. Detente is like recherche, a French term meaning relaxation or loosening. In history, it comes from peace treaties. Peace treaties that, a lot of Israeli treaties, a couple are Camp David Accords with Jimmy Carter, who's barely mentioned. Uh, then there's also the idea of the Treaty of Westphalia, historically tribal treaties by Native Americans, Woodrow Wilson's campaign for eugenics, and things of that nature. What's his name? Ronald Reagan had an idea of nuclear disarmament. America has so many nuclear bombs. We could bomb the world one over and still bomb the sun. Um, so how did Israel get the nuclear bomb? We don't know. Um, Another one that came from Jack Kerouac is mutually assured destruction. The mad ones are the only ones for me, the ones that burn, burn, burn like the Roman candle. Thank you.